Hey, we're saints. Good morning. Glad to have you beautiful people with us. Father Chris, Deacon Greg with you. Welcome to our Crucifixional live stream. We hope you had a great weekend, and we're going to talk about some heavy but serious stuff today. Yeah. Say it.
Hello, Governor. How are ya?
I was waiting for your yeah.
Yeah.
So it happened so we're going to talk about martyrdom today. Martyrdom is our topic. Someone giving their life for the faith. And it's kind of, important for us as Orthodox Christians, and particularly Orthodox Christians in the Patriarchate of Antioch. So I'm sure most of our audience knows what that means, but for those who don't, the Orthodox Church, well, tell us, what does that even mean, Antioch, Antiochians?
So there were 5 kind of base stations in the ancient world that were the places that the church spread from, one of which was the city of Antioch, which was the kind of the crossroads. It's a port town, and it was the gateway to the east.
Yeah.
And it was a major center it was a cosmopolitan city that was a major center of trade. And because of it being such an important city within the Byzantine Empire, or at that time they still consider themselves a Roman Empire, it was given that seat of authority. And we belong in our church to that patriarchate, which means that our bishop, who is here in America, sits on the council of that patriarchate. That is all the bishops, and they work out decisions and all of that. That's where we get what we call our apostolic succession.
Right. Well said. And the reason we even go through that is because one of our churches in our patriarchate in Damascus, in one of the suburbs, Duela, was not yesterday, but a week ago from yesterday. I had to do that math. We celebrated in the Patriarchate of Antioch all of the saints of Antioch. We call it
All Saints of Antioch Sunday.
Yeah. And it was the first one we had,
Mhm.
that when we did that within the Patriarchate. And there was a suicide attack, right? Is that really what it was? I don't know. Do you have any?
There was a suicide bombing at that church in Duela, outside of Damascus, and someone came in basically with a bomb attached to them. And in the patriarch's message, he said there were 3 young men standing in the back who basically tackled the guy, threw themselves on top of the guy, and stifled a lot more possible devastation than there could have been, despite the devastation. And we've got some images of the devastation. So you see, the church was completely destroyed, and then the bottom right-hand corner is a picture of some of the caskets on the day of the funeral. But the church was devastated, was rocked, and there's many more images all over the place on social media and the Antiochian Archdiocese website and all of that stuff. There's more details about it, but it was pretty harrowing to think about and to see the imagery and kind of the stuff that's going on in the aftermath.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Anytime any suicide bombing or mass shootings or mass murders, it's anywhere. It's happened to us in the United States, with great frequency. It's not even, unfortunately, it's not something that we're all shocked by as much anymore. Maybe we're shocked, but we're not surprised by. This one particularly was harsh in that it was on that day in one of our churches. And, I've been in that church years ago, and, many of my brother priests, our brother clergy in this archdiocese in America know some of those people. Like actually went to school with some of one of my priest friends went to school with 2 of them.
Wow.
The 2 of the people that were killed. So it's particularly harrowing, to use your word. And I say this not to be to bring up all of the horrors, but simply to lead into as a lead into what we want to discuss this week, and that is martyrdom, because the patriarch, our head bishop who resides in Damascus, he has referred to them as martyrs.
Yeah.
And we did a prayer service last week for them, last Thursday it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, just for consolation, comfort for all of the people that are suffering, for, just to remember them. We prayed for them yesterday in church. We did a special prayer service. We call it Trisagion. So all of that, we're doing, those things. And someone asked, it was interesting, are they martyrs? And the answer is, that the patriarch is putting that out there that, yeah, they died for their faith. I mean, they were in church worshiping, praying when they died, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. The word martyr.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you've got there, like as far as, do you have any Greek text?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So the word martyr, martis in Greek, right? It conjugates all over the place. But it is the word that is translated in English multiple ways, right?
Yeah.
Like witness, testimony, martyr, it's all the same word in Greek. Even in Arabic, the Arabic language, shahid, shahid, to witness, to testify, to the martyr, it's the same word in the Arabic language, probably in many other languages as well. Even I know in Islam, that statement that they make, the one God and no God but Allah and all that, shahada, they call it. It's all the same word. Yet in English, it translates differently as martyr, as the word witness, or the word testimony, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want me to keep going?
I mean, it's an interesting word to me. Like, so I think personally, I mean, I was just seeing what was going on. I think that word also gets used in so many different ways that it gets awkward. I mean, even within Byzantine music, there is a symbol, and we call those symbols the martyria, because they're how you check where you are in the music. And, it's literally, it means like a sign. It's almost like a road map, a road sign that's telling you this is where you're going. This is giving you the information. And we use it when we talk about people's martyrdom, because they gave us a sign. They gave us they showed us, I mean, what we've been talking about, what we always talk about. They showed us crucifixional living through that witness, through that sign that they demonstrated for us.
Yeah, absolutely. They witness. I mean, that's the technical that we can just say that now for martyrdom. What does it mean to be a martyr? Technically, it is someone who witnessed their faith in Jesus Christ at the cost of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, you and I are technically not martyrs. We are, Martiri said, we are witnessing our faith in Jesus Christ. But thanks be to God, thus far, at least at this moment in the show, it has not cost us our lives.
Right.
Right. So in this country, thank God, we are free to witness to Jesus Christ, which we try to do every single day, but it has not yet cost us our lives. So we are maybe evangelists, maybe that's even too strong a word, but we're preachers, teachers, but we're not martyrs in the classic sense, right?
Correct.
Is that fair?
I think that's a very fair statement.
All right. So and I think that's why in the biblical text, when you see the word in English, witness or testimony or martyr, you can reasonably assume that it probably came from that same word, because those people in the early church, they witnessed their faith and it cost them their lives, right? I mean, they were put to death or murdered even because of their faith in Jesus Christ. They would not renounce that faith.
Right.
Right. Which is really, I think, maybe let's talk about the book of Revelation.
I think it's a great place to start.
Right.
I mean, they use that word witness all over the place in Revelation. They throw it out there. They parse it out differently in different ways. And interestingly enough, it gets translated in different ways throughout the place.
Right. So maybe to set the context of what the book of Revelation is about, because I read it to be an exhortation to martyrdom, not a, prophecy, mystical, to like what's going to come. We've talked about this before. Like there's people out there that are like, on whatever, July 18 in 2027, the world will end and it will come as, and Revelation is the blueprint. And I think that the book of Revelation nothing could be further from the truth than what Revelation is trying to say. So to set the context, this is, in my studies, it is an exhortation to patient endurance, right? Ipomoni, right? Patiently endure whatever comes your way. So to set the context, the early Christian church, the Gentiles, the Gentilic church, meaning the non-Jewish Christians, were facing great persecution. Many people think that Revelation was written somewhere during the reign of Domitian, the Roman emperor, who was particularly brutal against Christians. So they were facing persecution from Romans, and they were sport, right?
Yeah. I mean, they were being fed to the lions then. Everyone would come sit and watch. You think about the movie Gladiator, that kind of put martyrdom in a different framework for me because, these were people that were captured by the state and then thrown into this arena to
Be a spectacle.
to be a spectacle. I mean, for sport, for people to just sit and watch.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. The second they faced persecution from the Romans. You could imagine that knock on your door late at night, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it the Praetorian Guards coming to take me? The second persecution that they were facing was from Jews, because many people in the Roman Empire, and I say Jews meaning Jews who were, of not Christians, not the non-Christian Jews, because many people were thinking of the church as like what Judaism had of their time, Nascent Judaism, what it had expanded or grown or developed into. And so the Jews were persecuting them because, hey, you're not going to take our place, right?
Yeah.
And the third group of persecutors were the Jewish Christians. They had been persecuting Gentiles, for quite some time, which is why what you see in the Pauline corpus, right? Like, why did St. Paul write Galatians and Romans was precisely to defend his Gentilic Christians from the persecution from within the church, that they had to be circumcised and become Jews in order to receive, and that's the whole works of the law and faith, the righteousness by faith and all that kind of stuff. And so all of these, you could imagine, it's coming at them from angles all over the place. And so the Gentilic Christians, would have to make a decision. Like, am I going to stand up for this faith? Or am I going to just, oh, no, I'm a pagan. Don't worry about it. What are you talking about? Right? Like, renounce their faith, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, I do not know the man.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, Peter, bravo. I mean,
Hashtag Bible.
Hashtag. Yeah. So you could see that they were facing a dire consequences. And simply because, like, I don't know what it's like to experience real pain, i.e. being eaten alive by lions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But I can tell you this, my gut says it's probably not a pleasant experience, right? Like,
yeah, I when my 2-year-old bites me on the shoulder, it's not a pleasant experience. Right. A lion with their force and their actual teeth would probably be a lot worse than that.
Yeah. And I say that again, not to be dramatic, but to say that what they were facing was not an easy decision, right? Like,
it was real.
Yeah. And if you and I were there, what would we do? I mean, it's easy for us sitting in the comfort of, 21st century North America with all the protections and the rights that we have to say, well, if I was there, I would never have renounced. And I hope we wouldn't have, but it's not a, no brainer, right?
Yeah. It's definitely not a given.
Yeah. Because I could imagine too, that probably there was some persecution that their families would face as well. Mm-hmm. Right. So if you don't renounce, I'm going to kill your wife or your children. Right. Mm-hmm. So God bless those martyrs. They stood strong, but we can at least say that there were those who would renounce, which is probably why the book of Revelation was written in the first place, right? Because if everyone stayed strong, why would it have had to be written? So, hey, Warrior Saints, thank you so much for being with us. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share. It helps us get the word out there. And if you want more, visit us at warriorsaints.org and subscribe to Understanding the Bible. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.